Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Comfort Fashim, and the sign language interpreter is Taiwo Ozoma. Now the headlines. As Ethiopia and Somalia sign peace deals, South Korea President Yoon Suk-yeol vows to fight on in defense of his decision. Nigeria's First Lady canvasses collective action to end tuberculosis. Nigeria adopts draft report on National Information Policy documents. Now the news and details. ECOWAS countries are engaging in a constructive dialogue on how to strategize on the region's concerns. Correspondent Garbana Ta'ala reports that the meeting is at the ministerial level, particularly focusing on the political and security situation in some member countries, as well as humanitarian corridors. Ministers representing member countries are expected to submit their reports for ratification by the authority of heads of state and government. And this will form part of the resolution at the end of ECOWAS regional meeting convened in Abuja.
It is crucial for our private sector to have investments and partnerships across the region. Member states need to evolve mechanisms and strategies to sensitize both the government officials and private sector groups on the economic potential of our region.
Somalia and Ethiopia have reached a deal to end a nearly year-old bitter dispute following hours of Turkish brokered talks in Ankara. Chukwudonson Wabueze reports that both nations agreed to work together on commercial arrangements and bilateral agreements that would ensure Ethiopia's reliable, safe and sustainable access to the sea.
Hailing it as a historic agreement, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said he hoped the deal would be the first step towards a new beginning based on peace and cooperation between Somalia and Ethiopia. Speaking at a joint press conference, Erdogan said he believed the agreement, which came after talks that reportedly lasted hours, would eventually bring about a way to ensure Ethiopia's access to the sea. According to the text of the agreement released by Turkey, the parties agreed to leave behind differences of opinion and contentious issues and resolutely move forward in cooperation towards common prosperity. They agreed to work closely together on commercial arrangements and bilateral agreements that would ensure Ethiopia's reliable, safe and sustainable access to the sea under the sovereign authority of the Federal Republic of Somalia. In his remarks, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said they have addressed the misunderstandings that have occurred over the past year, stating that Ethiopia's desire to secure access to the sea is a peaceful venture and will benefit their neighbors.
Not only do Ethiopians and Somalis share common ancestry, language and culture, but we are also held together with the blood sacrifice that has been paid by thousands of Ethiopian soldiers in defense of the security of the state of Somalia from terrorist forces.
Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, on his part, said the agreement had put a halt to their differences and that his nation was ready to work with the Ethiopian leadership and the Ethiopian people.
The differences that we had in the recent times, Ethiopia and Somalia are two neighborly countries, and they have mutual interests in cooperating together and building a prosperous future of both our two countries and our two people.
Turkey has been mediating between the two sides since July, leading discussions aimed at resolving their differences, but the two previous rounds of talks in Ankara had failed to produce any tangible progress. Chukwudonson Wabueze, NTA News.
NATO Chief Mark Rutte has issued a stark warning to turbocharge defense spending, saying European nations need to do more to prevent the next big war as a threat from Russia grows. The NATO Secretary General, in a keynote speech in Belgian capital Brussels, said, and I quote, "We are not ready for what is coming our way in 4 to 5 years. Danger is moving towards us at a full speed." End of quote.
the other way. We must face it. What is happening in Ukraine could happen here too. And regardless of the outcome of this war, we will not be safe in the future unless we are prepared to deal with danger. We can do that. We can prevent the next big war on NATO territory and preserve our way of life. This requires us all to be faster and fiercer. It is time to shift to a wartime mindset.
Moving on, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol vows to fight until the very last minute, defending his shock decision last week to declare martial law and deploy troops to the country's parliament. Chukwunonso Nwabueze reports.
President Yeol, in a televised address to the nation on Thursday, expressed his resolve to defend the mandate given to him by the people of the country. The embattled leader used the address to defend his shock decision to declare martial law and deploy troops to the South Korean parliament last week. A decision, he said, was taken to safeguard South Korea from threats posed by North Korea's communist forces and eliminate anti-state elements. He went on to attack the opposition, accusing it of pushing the country into a national crisis. The South Korean leader is barred from foreign travel as part of a probe into his inner circle over the dramatic events of December 3rd and 4th that stunned Seoul's allies and threw the country into some of its deepest political turmoil in years. Saturday's impeachment vote will take place at around 5 p.m. local time, with the opposition needing to win the support of at least 8 members of the ruling People Power Party (PPP) to secure the necessary 2/3 majority. PPP leader Han Dong-ho has urged party members on Thursday to attend the meeting and vote according to their conviction and conscience, emphasizing that President Yu is no longer able to fulfill his duties as president. Police, meanwhile, attempted another raid on Yu's presidential office compound Thursday, a day after a similar attempt was blocked by security guards. The main opposition Democratic Party said it would file legal complaints for insurrection against the president's staff and security if they continue to obstruct law enforcement. Reports say Thursday's raid focused on the headquarters of the military's Joint Chiefs of Staff, which reportedly agreed to cooperate with the investigation. Thousands of people protest outside South Korea's National Assembly, calling for the president to be impeached over his brief imposition of martial law. The demonstration comes just hours after the president's address. Chukwunonso Nwabueze, NTA News.
Nigeria is making a deliberate and strategic effort to identify and address diverse challenges with the rapidly increasing number of older persons. Director General of the National Senior Citizen Center, Dr. M.M. Omokaro, stated this while sharing Nigeria's experience on aging policy action, a social development framework at the Advancing Aging Policy Formulation and Action Plan in Africa at the UN headquarters in New York. Haman Jabani reports.
The event, sponsored by the permanent missions of Nigeria and Malta to the United Nations in UK, seeks to build momentum for the Second World Social Development Summit in 2025, celebrating a decade of impactful partnership between the International Institute of Aging and DOF. In her presentation, the Director General of the National Senior Citizen Center, Dr. Omokaro, says Nigeria's policy formulation and action plan on aging has benefited from a 10-year of impactful training of policy and decision makers, planners and practitioners across multi-sectors.
How are we going to, navigate these difficulties? And so, a strategic roadmap gives us 2 pathways. How do we get older people to be truly included? How do we get older people to benefit from whatever is happening in other population cohorts?
While the increasing longevity in Nigeria and across Africa reflect progress in healthcare, education and social services, it also demands urgent action to strengthen policies and programs to support older persons.
The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Welfare, the International Institute of Aging and other partners commended Nigeria's leadership in advocating the human rights of older persons and mainstreaming policy documentation and implementation.
Nigeria has represented the African group with distinction in the Bureau of the Open-Ended Working Group on Aging further amplifying the voice of Africa in global aging policy and human rights discussions.
The center aims to strengthen national and regional capacities to develop transformative policies, planning and implementation frameworks for aging programs across the region. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
The 48th National Council on Information and National Orientation has commenced in Kaduna, with participants adopting the draft report on the National Information Policy document. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
After about 6 years on hold, this marks the return of the annual intellectual exercise, which often produces a working guide to the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. After vigorous scrutiny by various committees, this 41-page draft National Information Policy 2024 is expected to provide a flexible framework within which modern information systems and strategies can be deployed for national development in line with global best practices and the policies of the Renewed Hope agenda.
A government cannot be truly inclusive if its policies and programs are not effectively communicated or widely understood by the citizenry. Our task, therefore, is to harmonize efforts across all tiers of government, leveraging on our collective expertise.
Whatever communication comes out of this will be shared with Kaduna State government as a template to improve on our information management.
In addition to the work of the committee, broad-based stakeholder input was obtained from all the parastatals of the ministry, which significantly enriched the policy document.
We are happy that the President Minister of Information and National Orientation has attached so much value to the meeting, and we are here today in Kaduna to look at the policy direction of information sector in the country, vis-a-vis the development in the country, technology-wise, and also the right of Nigerians to free information, access to information, and of course, free and seamless flow of dissemination of information from government to the governed, and vis-a-vis from the people to the government too.
We have a clear mandate, which is to key in to the 5-point agenda of the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, and above all of the Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which is also very clear about taking Nigeria to the next level.
The Renewed Hope agenda has come up with a lot of very, wonderful policies that will actually see, the country through. So with information, what we decimate, what we say out, how we'll be able to tell the world where Nigeria is in all sectors, it's a plus for us.
The National Information Policy seeks to provide a framework to guide the regulation and functioning of all public communication systems in the country and provide solutions to the challenges and opportunities in a society driven by evolving technology. In Kaduna, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Before 2030. To achieve this, Special Advisor to the President on Health, Dr. Salman Ibrahim Anas, is convening a high-level meeting with key community actors from 3 of the most affected states. Uche Ugochukwu brings the details.
The bleak statistics of maternal and newborn deaths in Nigeria remain a present concern. Despite ongoing efforts to achieve a 30% reduction by 2030, progress has been slow, hindered by persistent barriers. This has prompted a meeting of community stakeholders to discuss the root causes of these alarming figures and explore practical, homegrown solutions peculiar to each state.
We are operating in a society, in a community. We are talking to people that already have their own culture, their own ways of doing things. They have their beliefs. So there's no way you can be talking in vacuum and you expect results. And
now we're engaging the crux of where the issues are, and that is the community.
Commissioners from the 3 pilot states, Borno, Kaduna and Sokoto, alongside community and religious leaders, have pledged to collaborate on implementing locally tailored frameworks aimed at transforming the current situation, aligning with the National Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative and the SWAP program.
We remain resolute in reducing maternal and newborn deaths across our dear state and the nation in general.
We want pregnancy by choice, not by accident. And we can achieve it through promoting modern family planning methods.
Plans are already underway to extend this engagement to all 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, ensuring that no region is left behind in the fight to improve maternal and newborn health outcomes. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Let's take a breather at this time. Just stay with us.
Find amazing treats for everyone this holiday with Showmax. Celebrate like a champion with soccer.
Very well taken.
Find your festive inspo with our masters of style.
That's what I'm here for.
Embark on a fun-filled global adventure.
Here we go.
Share your love moments with family and friends.
My son, the most handsome.
And enjoy some truly royal spoils.
I want the power to control what happens in my life.
Only on Showmax, because everyone deserves a holiday treat.
President Tinubu is set to present the 2025 budget proposal to a joint session of the National Assembly on Tuesday, 17th December 2024. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced at plenary that the President has sent a notification to that effect to the Senate. The joint session is to hold at 11 a.m. With about 6 years left to achieve the 2030 global targets to end tuberculosis, critical stakeholders led by political leaders must recommit to collective action aimed at stopping the disease in its This is the appeal on Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu to international delegates and partners from 62 countries who attended the 38th board meeting of the Stop TB Partnership Global held at the Presidential Villa. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
Since the National Tuberculosis Conference 2024 opened Tuesday, stakeholders led by the global and national Stop TB champion and Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu have focused on key issues, including funding to expand diagnostic services towards improving treatment access. The statistics are still not cheering and much work needs to be done. So the 38th board meeting of Stop TB Partnership Global is interested in attracting sufficient political leadership needed to galvanize required investments to end TB across the world. While embracing her role to drive political leadership for the campaign, the First Lady insists that the campaign must prioritize awareness and integrated service delivery that guarantees that no Nigerian is left behind.
As we move forward, let us acknowledge that the data on tuberculosis are not just numbers. They represent real people, their struggles, and the profound impact of this disease. While the statistics are disturbing, it should be also propel our hope, commitment, and determination to eradicate this global health crisis.
As the global and national Stop TB champion, she hopes to mobilize required political will that can sustain the campaign against the disease in Nigeria.
Let us remember that we have the knowledge, the tools, and most importantly, the will to make TB a disease of the past. Therefore, our goals are attainable. Let us move forward with urgency and determination.
But to fight it requires a multifaceted approach, which means we have to work together to prioritize and extend our advocacy to all levels of society, all levels of government, so that our combined effort will result in the improvements that we seek and we know is possible.
Led by its executive director, Lushika Ditu, the Stop TB Partnership community from around the world was unanimous in their appreciation of the changing TB narrative in Nigeria, citing the leadership and inspiration provided by Nigeria's First Lady.
As partners in the Stop TB, we will always be here for Nigeria.
But it's extremely important that is the country standing up for their people and saying, I want to cure them and I want to treat them and I have the ambition, I have the tools and I have the people. Maybe I don't have all the money, but that will not stop me.
I would like to announce we're expecting and very excited even new point of care tests next year.
Part of the agenda of the high-level meeting is to explore how the world can present a unified response to the health and socio-economic challenges that tuberculosis represents. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Following July's Supreme Court pronouncement affirming the financial autonomy of local governments in the country, final touches to put a stamp on its commencement are being fine-tuned. This is a declaration of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. Daily Atumbi reports that this was at the National Conference of the National Association of Judiciary Correspondents in Abuja.
In 2002, 5 journalists came together as judiciary reporters to form the National Association of Judiciary Correspondents, NAJUC, reporting court proceedings. Being the end of the year, NAJUC invited the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice and Chief Judge, Federal High Court, to speak on the role of courts in enforcing judgments.
There should be accurate reporting of proceedings in the court without sensationalism.
The NDA will follow up the effort of the men through the NGP by enforcing internal mechanisms that will ensure that identify erring legal practitioners are sanctioned.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, speaks on the consequences of sabotaging the recent Apex Court judgment on local government's financial autonomy.
Section 1, subsection 2 of the Constitution earlier provides that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall not be governed or any part thereof except in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution.
As 2025 beckons, judiciary reporters say they remain yielded to the standard practices of fact-checking stories before publishing, balance and objectivity in news reporting. In Abuja, Daily Atumbi, NTA News.
Office of the Head of the Civil Service and the Bureau of Public Service Reforms have agreed to strengthen their collaboration to fast-track the transformation in the civil service and the entire MDAs. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation and the DG of the Bureau made these commitments when they met in Abuja. Haman Jabani reports.
The meeting of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation and Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reforms is believed to be a deliberate effort to see to how the organs of government can work together and meet the growing desire of government at all levels for the provision of effective and efficient services to the people. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, DDS Sawal Shinjak, commended the Director General of the Bureau for all the reforms ongoing under his watch while taking him through the numerous policies and programs introduced in the last 100 days. She said input from the BPSR can go a long way in enhancing service delivery in Nigeria.
Our number one customers are the Nigerian citizens. And so we want to have an engagement with the public to hear what is the expectation of the public service. Are they satisfied with our service delivery? And if not, how can we improve?
Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reforms, who spoke extensively on the mandate, reforms and line of action by the Bureau, said they can leverage their respective strengths and resources to tackle complex issues and challenges that affect the public and civil service to achieve President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's priority areas.
If this is the opportunity God has given to us, then the onus is on us to do what is right. Over the years, we have been driving reforms, and the successes that we have recorded are attributed to ownership of reforms by leadership.
They both agree that pooling resources and expertise together, they can pursue policies and initiatives towards implementing Renew Hope agenda in the public and civil service for the benefit of Nigerians. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
The federal government wants the Federal Road Safety Corps to ensure increased visibility on the road and to re-strategize on modalities to check excesses of road users, especially commercial drivers, before, during and after the Yuletide. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, emphasized this at the Corps Marshal's 4th strategic session at the national headquarters in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
This is the 4th strategic session of the Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Sheikh Mohammed, with the high commands of the Corps. This time around, the target is towards a successful outing during the Yuletide. The FRC Corps Marshal, while reeling out a series of achievements made so far, emphasized that operatives should be mentored to apply a strategic retreat in cases of extreme provocation, as this is the only way the Corps can change the public perception of operations.
I wish to reiterate that traffic offense is not a criminal offense. Therefore, interface with traffic offenders should be approached with requisite emotional intelligence.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, represented by the Permanent Secretary, General Services Office, Maurice Mberi, however, charged the Corps to ensure speedy responses in terms of emergencies, aside checking the excesses of the activities of one-chance operators to the barest minimum.
Re-strategize on your modalities to check excesses of drivers on the roads, including the recklessness on the activities of along the road drivers.
Say no to overloading, because even when they overload, you still pay the same transport fare.
The Corps was also admonished to increase the deployment of innovation in its activities as part of a commitment to reduce road traffic crashes in the country by at least 5%. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Before we go, let's take a look at weather prospects for Friday. This is where we end the news. I am Comfort Fashion, and my sign language interpreter is Taiwo Ozon. Thanks for watching.